I'd like to introduce my president, Jessica Tang, who we're very fortunate to have a member of the National Executive Board who knows Randi well to be able to come and present the award. Thank you, Jessica.
So thank you to the UMass Dartmouth Labor Ed Center, and congratulations to all of the awardees tonight. Thank you for your work, thank you for your inspiration, and also thank you for sharing the stories that need to be shared. So it is truly my honor this evening to introduce our last recipient tonight, and I'm going to share a little bit of the formal bio, but then I'm going to divert a little bit. But Randi Weingarten is the president of the 1.8 million member AFT, which represents teachers, paraprofessionals, and school-related personnel, higher education faculty and staff, nurses and other healthcare professionals, local, state, and federal government employees, and early childhood educators. And prior to her election as AFT president in 2008, Weingarten served for 11 years as president of the United Federation of Teachers, that's AFT Local 2, representing approximately 200,000 educators in the New York City public school system. And then I could read a bunch of her commendations, but the commendation that I actually would like to share tonight, and by the way, you should read her whole bio. It's really quite impressive, but it's also like 8 pages, and I don't think we need to hear it all tonight. But you should read it. It's actually very inspiring. But the commendation that I wanted to share was the one from Mike Pompeo, who shared that she is the most dangerous person in America. And I think that's a badge of honor, because if she wasn't a force of nature and so fierce in her leadership, she wouldn't be seen as such a threat, right? And that is a reputation to be proud of, because, as they say, well-behaved women seldom make history. And I guess you could say some people consider Randi not very well-behaved. But she is truly a history maker, and she's not just a labor leader who fights for the rights of all working people and fights for the belief that all really deserve opportunities and justice, but she's also a fighter for democracy and freedom. And so, what I want to share is a little bit of what I've seen up close over the last 7 years as a member of the Exec Council and AFT. I'll be honest, the first time I met her, I was actually quite intimidated and pretty nervous just even talking to her. I think sometimes I even still feel that way. But I've asked a few of the other leaders on the council, what word they would describe to use Randi. And you won't be surprised to hear inspiring, visionary, indefatigable, brilliant, and of course, tough. And she is. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional because I've seen how she's the spear of the AFT, but she's also, in many ways, the shield. And I don't take that for granted. Leadership is not easy, as any labor leader knows in this room. And the threats that she's received, I know this, I've talked to Fed, our Secretary Treasurer, and he gets the pleasure of reading a lot of the emails. They're real, and they're constant. And she is the shield that shields so much of the rest of us who are doing this work and takes the brunt of a lot of that hate and threats and hurt, right? But she persists, and it's inspirational. And, sometimes I don't know how she does it. She's literally everywhere, 3 states in one day. I really don't know how she does it. And when I ask, how do you keep going, in spite of all the unprecedented challenges we've had, whether it was Janus, whether it was a pandemic, right? Whether it's these divisive times we're in, how does she keep going? And I wish that Sharon, her wife, were here, and Gracie, her dog, because whenever I check in, the two of them are always part of the answer of how she keeps going. But despite how much she keeps going, she is to us, I think, so many times the answer when we're very lost, because like during the pandemic, there was no blueprint, right? For Janice, there was no blueprint. But whenever we go to her for help, she's always already got an idea and a plan and thought through, what we need to do. And that includes times like this, right? But it's the little stuff too. I'm talking about, she gets in the weeds of collective bargaining agreements in individual locals. And then of course is always there when we have ballot fights. And whether it was no on question 2 in 2016, that brought us to yes on question 2 in 2024, and everything in between, Student Opportunities Act, Fair Share Millionaires Tax, when I've called her to say, hey, we need help, we're partnering with MTA to get this ballot question done to fight for high standards, not high stakes, her answer is always yes. So it's not just though in Massachusetts that she's been here for all of us. It's leaders and millions of workers across our nation. And I've just seen her lead, again, in some of the most trying times, and actually really taken time to console individual people, even when it felt inconsolable. And so she's not just a fierce leader, but she's thoughtful, she's strategic, and she's kind, and she really does care. And in these times, with so much uncertainty, that is exactly the leadership that we need. And so it is truly my honor and pleasure to present the award tonight to my president, Randi Weingarten. So I'm going to read the plaque. In recognition for her progressive leadership of the 1.8 million member American Federation Teachers and an important leadership role in the AFL-CIO and the national labor movement, bringing a message of solidarity with all workers, and in recognition of her enlightened role in crafting innovative proposals to address issues at every level of our educational system, and in recognition of her tireless efforts to promote social and economic justice in urban, suburban, and rural America alike.